Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in to David's Life and Observation. I've been gone for a while. I've been in Mexico for the last month and a half, so I've been really busy. And the way our schedule worked, it was the way the schedule worked, and a lot to do with the internet connection. Was just rough on getting a lot of content out, and content that I did capture wasn't even for me. So I was out there to do a job, and I'm glad I did that job. I'm glad I was out there. I got to see some wonderful fights in Mexico City, and can't wait for a follow up in Boston, which I'm trying to finagle tickets for. Anyways, moving on. Just sitting back. When I got back, a lot of things I noticed in the news, especially recently, was Amber Geyer's, I don't even know how you say it properly. Hopefully that's the way you say it. Trial is going on. And I have a question real quick about that trial. Why the fuck is there even a trial? She murdered a man in cold blood. She thought it was her apartment, which is obvious a lie. The cops covered a lot of shit up because her compatriots are going to cover shit up. That's what's going to happen. Law enforcement in that situation were terrorists. Essentially, they're the ones who should have said, you know what, hey, one of our own just committed this heinous crime. We need to call outside agencies to come do this investigation because we're going to be the first ones on scene. And how's that going to look? They didn't care. They never care how they look anymore. There's no accountability. There's the one-off accountability, that you get, and that's when the entire department is throwing one guy under the bus, even though 15, 20 people were there when the crime was committed. Not in her situation, but in other situations, like when there's a use of force incident and somebody, gets caught up with use of force, it's usually one or two officers that go down for that, even though 15 officers were present. If 15 or so officers are present when use of force happens and they don't report it properly, they don't do anything about it, yes, they all should go down. That's how it works for the civilian world. You commit a crime with somebody, it doesn't matter if you just happen to be in the vehicle, you still going down for that crime. Hey, you drive an Uber, some dude's packing a bunch of fucking weed, and you pick the dude up and like, I'm sorry, you're probably still gonna catch a charge with that dude. It's the way it's gonna go. So I'm a firm believer of, hey, a law enforcement officer commits a crime. Every officer involved in that incident, if their incident reports do not reflect the fact that that other officer committed a crime, then they are party to the crime. They are party to the cover up of that crime. And especially if there is an incident where law enforcement officers off duty commit a crime, it should be another agency, state troopers, FBI, whatever have you, whatever different agency. Let's say it's a sheriff's deputy. Well, the local PD and also probably federal investigators should take a look into that case instead of the sheriff's department, because they're obviously going to cover for their pal. I mean, cops are going to cover for their pal anyway. It doesn't matter what agency is with who, but it's just sad that we're even having a trial for this woman. She committed the crime. We know she committed the crime. It should be very easy for a judge or any jury to be like, you know what? Hey, she committed this crime. She does the time. There's no accidental deaths. It's called manslaughter. Oh, I didn't know it wasn't my apartment. You're lying. You're lying. Your actions before and afterwards don't follow suit with anything logical. So the whole fact that there is a trial for this woman is amazing. It's sad. It degrades actually the justice process. We're supposed to have due process. We know she committed the crime. She's trying to cover up the fact that she had intent. Even if she didn't have intent, that's manslaughter. It's manslaughter. Give her the charges. Let her sit in prison. She deserves to go to prison for the rest of her life. Any officer that commits a crime should get actually double the amount of punishment any citizen gets. They should be in fear. Any public servant should be in fear of absolute, not just termination, but they should be in fear of serious prison time, committing crimes when you have the trust of the people. And that's the way that needs to go. So the fact that we're having this dumbass trial for absolutely no fucking reason, and you know what's probably going to happen? She's probably not going to be. They're probably going to say, you know what, hey, not guilty, or they're going to say, you know what, hey, you're guilty, but we're going to bust it down to a misdemeanor. We're not even going to hit you with manslaughter, and you're only going to do 30 days in jail. And then the family, because fuck the family of the victim, because that's pretty much what cops do is fuck people constantly. It's just sad. It's just the way it's going to go down. You're going to have the cop apologist be like, especially when you got what do you call those motherfuckers? Texas Rangers saying that she didn't commit a crime. Are you purposely being slow in that situation? Are you that much of a fucking moron to not see the fact that she came in and killed a person, so therefore that is not a crime to you? What the fuck kind of sense is that? And are you a fucking moron? Let's just be real. Are you a moron? And how dare you go in front of the people and say that? How fucking dare you go in front of the people and say that at all? That's just amazing to me. It really is. Let's talk about the Trump impeachment shit. Impeach him for what? For what? Are we still beating the door down on, he was colluding with Russia? Are we still going down that road? And just because you have 30 Republicans that support that notion, those motherfuckers never supported him in the first place. Everybody's mad at fucking Trump. Everybody wants to target Trump. And it's been an ongoing fucking blood feud to get him out of office. We're running up to the end of his road when it comes to him being in office. Dems, you lost. And you don't do yourselves any fucking favors when you have politicians that say the dumbest fucking things I've ever seen politicians say. When you make a mockery of Senate committees, when you make a mockery of damn near everything that you do, and I'm not even for Republicans. Fuck Republicans. They're dumb as fuck too. Those theocratic pieces of shit wants to. Those are the do as I say, not as I do, motherfuckers, man. It's so ironic that, like, let's say any Star Trek fan is going to understand this. Republicans are the Ferengi. Ferengi are the Republicans. Those dumbass people, the only thing they care about is profit and their belief systems. Fuck the actual law. Fuck what other people think. They don't care. They always try and bring in religion into the conversation of politics, but they don't want to hear about any other religion, just Christianity, and not just Christianity, their brand of Christianity. They're theocrats. Republicans are dumb as fuck. They want you to look the other direction while they do all sorts of dumb shit. And it's both parties. Both large parties have dumbasses on both sides of the aisle. They really do. They don't make sense. They're theocratic. Both motherfuckers are theocratic. Democrats and Republicans. And they don't really care about the American people. If they cared about the American people, they would have legalized weed already. There should have been no reason under the sun that it would have got put on illegal status anyway. No reason. The reason it got put on that kind of status is for profit and political reasons. It had nothing to do with the actual plant itself. It had medicinal uses, and hemp has 1 million applications and uses. CBD oil has 1 million applications and uses. We're seeing it. But both sides of the aisle want to demonize weed. Like, how fucking dumb are you? The war on drugs is a failed war on drugs. It hasn't worked. You incarcerated millions upon millions of people. There's millions and millions and millions and millions of lives ruined from politicians up and down the justice system chain of command. You got from the lowly beat officer all through prosecutors and judges who've committed heinous atrocities to mankind over plants, over drugs. Yeah, if you're going to arrest someone for drugs, why the fuck put them in a place where they're still gonna have access to drugs, and then you're putting them in a worse environment. Why not send them to treatment? The decriminalization of a lot of the drugs is gonna save people instead of doing the opposite. And it's so funny. It's the baby boomer generation, who was the same generation that was all free love and drugs and all that, are the same motherfuckers saying don't do drugs. You're fucking hypocritical. You're dumb. Dumbass motherfuckers. You're old, you're antiquated, you're outdated, you have no purpose left on this earth. You really don't. You serve no purpose other than to remind people that you're racist, that you're bigoted, and that you place all your stock on people, imaginary sky people, and you really don't give a shit about other people. Because like I said before, you're the do as I say, not as I do generation. Still that way. It's still fucking that way. You're a disgrace. That whole entire generation, and Generation Xers, you don't have it any better. You guys are ironically the ones who raised the Tide Pod eaters. You guys are dumbasses too, doing whippets and doing all sorts of shit, doing all sorts of drugs, and having those dumbass commercials, that were aimed at criminalizing the crack epidemic. But look at white people suffering in the fucking opioid epidemic, and black people are sitting back like, ha, y'all getting the same fucking treatment. I don't feel for you at all. I really don't. Y'all want to go fuck around with meth addicts. You guys want to fuck around and criticize heroin and crack dealers. Well, y'all getting caught up in the opioid epidemic, and you're expecting people to feel bad for you. You're expecting people to be like, oh no, we should caught it. No, fuck you guys. Fuck you guys too. Now you guys want shit to change. Oh, well, people shouldn't go to jail. Like, yeah, when you have politicians who we have to pass a law, or we the people have to get petitions to get signed, to where politicians and public employees have to use their own funds to battle sexual harassment lawsuits, and use their own funds to battle themselves out of court for doing drugs and buying prostitutes. It's just ironic that we had to pass a law, or we had to get petitions and get a change process going for them to stop using our fucking money to go do that. The fact that they had the access to public funds to make that shit happen is utterly insane. They should have always been having to use their personal money to do that. It's just incredible. I'm just sick and tired of it. So since getting back from Mexico, I realized that we're still the land of shit. Everybody espouses, oh, we're the land of the free because of the brave. Nope. We're the land of the do as I say, not as I do, motherfuckers. And we're the land of the hypocrisy is what we are. We criminalize everything. We have officers in Oregon and California and Washington criminalizing homelessness instead of trying to find solutions. The solution is, we're going to develop an intricate busing system where we just bus motherfuckers the fuck out of here. We're going to spend federal dollars on a program where we get tickets and bus motherfuckers across the country, so the transients stay in transit and they constantly move around the country to different spots and get dropped off. That's what happens. There's no solution. They don't give a fuck because it doesn't affect them personally. And we have a situation coming out of California where you have Antelope Valley Hospital patient dumping. They were caught patient dumping. And why this isn't fucking national news is beyond me. Beyond my understanding. How is it that and they're not the only ones that were caught doing this. No way, they're not the only ones that do this. There are other hospitals that patient dump because they're motivated by profit. They're not motivated by the well-being of the person. They're not motivated by actual health care. And we are the last stronghold nation of idiots that don't have universal health care for its citizens. It's just a fucking amazing that we just don't have it in us to have cost-free health care. And then the talking points of, we have Canadians and everybody flying here to get their surgeries. No, that's not fucking true. Stop fucking lying. Stop being untruthful about that shit. This nation's leaders, and I'm not even going to call them leaders. They're fucking servants. They're public servants, and their constituency, us, we the people, are their boss. We have situations in this country where we see atrocity day in and day out. There are new videos every day of police brutality, of police misconduct. Not even a fraction, not even a tiny fraction of those go to court because one, our system would just be full of just that. It would literally be a system full of just that. That's why law enforcement officials investigate themselves and find themselves that they did nothing wrong. Happens all the time. My case in particular, they investigated themselves. They chose not to pursue charges because, well, that would entangle them in a court battle. They're still going to have to go to court. They're still going to have to pay the piper, and they're eventually going to have to release that information. I got told by a representative from the Texas Attorney General's office that said that they can withhold evidence, they can withhold that information indefinitely. They've probably already destroyed the tapes. They've probably already destroyed the audio. They've probably already destroyed they've probably, there's no way there's going to be a police report written because of that. And they're essentially going to do whatever they can to get away with the fact that they violated my rights, had my kids taken away for 6 months, and they committed crimes. False detention, Fifth Amendment violations, Fourth Amendment violation, First Amendment violation, Second Amendment violation, you name it, they fucking violated almost all the amendments, except for the third. They kept going. Copper's Cove is a Copper's Cove, clean, that whole area, trash. It's a miracle that we have a base there. And it's a miracle that more and more Texans allow that shit to happen. Why are Texans allowing the Attorney General to indefinitely withhold information from you? It's public information. Just because an agency chooses not to prosecute you doesn't mean you are not entitled to that information. You are. And they said they filed it under the section, but nothing in that section gives any logical reason to anybody why that information was withheld. It doesn't. So, just letting you guys know I'm back on the warpath. This has been kind of a long little video. I'm going to upload it here soon. But I'm back on the warpath. Amber Geyer, I hope you rot in prison the rest of your fucking life, lady. You committed the crime. You should do the time. That's what they say to us. That's what they say all the time. Well, you need to find it in your heart to think about that officer. No, fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. She deserves to rot in prison. I don't give a fuck. And any officer involved in the cover-up, which there was an attempted cover-up, needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And I have no sympathy at all, period. And I'll say this every fucking day. I have no sympathy anymore for officers shot in the line of duty. I have no more sympathy for that. I don't care. You can call me cruel. You can call me an asshole. You can call me a monster. I don't care. There's no more sympathy coming from me. I have family members that are fucking police officers. I have friends that are police officers. And I have no sympathy because you motherfuckers chose to do that job. You motherfuckers have chosen a profession that literally ruins lives every day. What good? Can you name one good thing an officer does? They might save a life. I don't know when, in a given situation. Maybe. But they don't prevent crime. They don't stop crimes from happening. They show up afterwards, take notes, and fucking leave. And a lot of people are like, well, when a crime's being committed, next time call a crackhead. Well, at least a crackhead I know will be strapped and ready to go. I'll call a crackhead. At least if I have a good rapport with my crackhead, that crackhead's going to fucking defend me. Cops show up around me, they probably be like, well, what did you do? Probably throw cuffs on me and then deal with it afterwards. Those motherfuckers shoot first, ask questions later. We've allowed them to do that in this country. We've allowed them to violate rights up the wazoo, and they get away with it time and time again because they've been allowed to get away with it. we're gonna get to the point where, and it's already happening. Red flag laws are already in play. They already, like, we had a situation here in Arizona. My first day back, in fact, I was driving back, and there was a so-called, and we don't know the actual truth because we haven't gotten the whole story yet, but there was a so-called domestic incident where law enforcement officers were called to a scene, and they had a shootout with a veteran. Time and time again, when the truth does come out, usually what ends up happening is the law enforcement officers instigated the hostility, or they got called because some nosy neighbor made a false call because they heard a loud television, they heard some arguing, and some folks argue loud. That doesn't mean there's violence happening. Now, if there was a situation where a lady ran to your neighbor's door and she's crying, or you saw her getting knocked out by the old man and, everything like that, by all means, address that issue. Do it. Call the cops and go over there and handle business your goddamn selves. We as citizens need to take control of our goddamn selves. We need to be able to defend ourselves too. We need to be able to defend ourselves when hostile agents of the state are coming to take your guns for no fucking reason. Now, in the situation I gave you, when there's a domestic incident, if you're the veteran in question, hey, very simple process here. You talk to law enforcement officers. You say, hey, this is what happened. We're arguing, But at the same time, if you've done nothing wrong, you and your old lady behind the door, and she says, hey, hey, we done, there was just a simple argument. Everything's good, and they choose not to leave, and they try and go into your home after that. You have every right to defend yourself. You have every right to put every one of those officers down, because what they're doing at that point is they're violating the law. They're violating your rights. And I'm a firm believer of, hey, no-knock raids, they're a violation of the Constitution. They subvert your rights. And they get judges time and time again to sign off on bullshit. We saw this with the Houston raid. Where's the accountability in that raid? You got, 2 officers? Even there was like a fuck ton of officers. Like every officer involved in that needs to go to prison because it resulted in the death of 2 individuals that didn't commit a crime other than defending themselves. That's a very valid situation where 2 motherfuckers are minding their own business. A so-called informant who was never actually anywhere near was used as justification for a judge to sign off on a warrant, which they did a no-knock raid in civilian clothes. Guy didn't know who the fuck was what, and then he decided to shoot down a couple officers before they killed him. And then you got 2 motherfuckers that are gonna go to prison for that, or they're gonna get locked up? No, every officer involved needs to go to prison in that situation. The judge needs to go to prison in that situation. You as a judge need to validate shit. You can't just take the word of officers anymore. We need to have a process in place where a judge is like, okay, show me the video. Tell me the process in which you're gonna take this dude down. Why do you need a no-knock raid? Why can't you wait till this motherfucker leaves the house and go to the gas station? Why all the pretense and the hostility? Why do we need to fucking suit up our fucking our people in civilian clothes? What good does that do to anybody? How do you know motherfuckers are cops when you're wearing no identifiable things other than your fucking gun and a fucking badge that can be bought online? Seriously, motherfuckers with a badge and gun think they have more rights than everybody else. They're sovereign citizens. A lot of people throw that term around the last couple of years lately, like, oh, well, you need to stop being a sovereign citizen. When you choose not to identify to an officer, you need to comply. No, the fuck you don't. When an officer is making an unlawful command, when they're doing something that's against the law, you absolutely do not have to comply. You have every right as a citizen to resist that arrest. You have every right as a citizen to not comply with unlawful requests. You have every right as a citizen to put that officer down and take them out. You have every right as a citizen to do that. We are a country founded on fucking up police. The redcoats were the police. We are a country founded on giving the middle finger to taxes. We had the Boston Tea Party for that. Why are we not a country that does that shit anymore? We are allowing an oligarchy of politicians and a ruling class of rich people to overstretch their boundaries. We're allowing them to bully police and government officials to do their bidding. So we as the people need to pull back on the yoke and say, you know what, fuck you people. We're actually the Lord and Master of our land here. The fact that I saw in the news just the other day that the fact that banks and government agencies can take someone's house from them because they're not paying a property tax after they've already paid off that house for years. And sometimes it's a clerical error where that property tax doesn't get paid. And then those motherfucking bankers are quick. They're like, oh, no, you got 20 days. And we're going to send you this one notice. You got 20 days to come up with $2,000. Otherwise, we're going to have to own your property. You are not a homeowner. You are not a property owner if you do not own the property. Once you've paid off your house, you own it. Once you've paid enough fucking money on that land, you own the land. Not the bank, not the government, but you and your family. And we've lost that. We've lost that in this country. We've lost the ability to have balls in this country, and it's just amazing that we don't take matters into our own hands more often. You know motherfuckers, real motherfuckers that took matters into their own hands and came out on top? The Bundys. Everybody wants to naysay against the Bundys. Oh, well, they just don't want to pay their taxes. Abso-fucking-lutely. They're fucking patriots. Why the fuck do they just get imposed tax and you got fucking federal agents coming onto their property trying to murder their cows? We had video of it. Fucking burn their shit. We have video of it. And then when they take matters into their own hands and defend themselves, they get locked up. And then the court can't find they actually did anything wrong because they're defending themselves from federal fucking goons. But everybody wants to downplay that. They don't want to really talk about that. I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of coming back to a country where we're supposed to be the fucking land of the free. And a lot of people are like, well, you have freedom to make this video. Come on, man. I'm probably going to have the FBI knocking on my door or doing a raid in the next week or so. It's a possibility. They can catch this video and be like, yo, hey, well, you made threats. No, I'm just informing people of what they're allowed to do. I'm informing people that, yes, you are allowed to kill law enforcement officers. You are allowed to kill federal agents. You are allowed to use your Second Amendment right, a right that they are not supposed to infringe upon with red flag laws, and be able to win back or take back our fucking country. We're allowed to do that. So here's my thing. Here's my take on this. At the end of the day, law enforcement officers should absolutely fear the people. They absolutely should. And they should get double the amount of time in prison, in jail for every crime that they commit. Double the amount of fines. You got fucking Tempe police officers. You got Phoenix police officers. You got Mesa police officers. Motherfuckers are on their phones constantly texting while driving. Constantly on the phone while driving. Yeah, they're going to impose, $500-$600 fine on a citizen they pull over that they accuse, not actually like have video of, but they accuse of driving while texting or driving while on the phone. Yeah, these motherfuckers do it every day. They're sovereign citizens. If they believe that they are above the law and they're allowed to do things outside of the law, then they're sovereign citizens. That's just plain as day. So, end of rant. I'm done. I'm within 30 minutes. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. But I'm going to have more to say this upcoming week. I'm going to drop more videos, more content. And tune in to David's Life and Observation.